Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me. This is Tuesday, and it's for September 12th, 2023. The second time I'm doing this, but let's get right into this. We've got our favorite risk indicator, the MMRI. Clearly high territory, still right at the 280 range. The large components of it, the 10-year yield, just barely below the 4.3 that the markets really don't like, and the relative strength of the United States dollar. And that is about to get hammered because of the international community. And with trade, we'll go into that a little later. So for our calendar, we're kind of light today. The market is really looking at that iPhone release from India at 1 p.m. And they're really looking forward to the core CPI and oil inventories coming out on Wednesday. So the Apple event, they're bringing out the stock futures are kind of hopeful here because Apple has always been a large mover and it's a large enough market cap that it can move these. So we'll be watching that at 1 o'clock and have another story on the trade side from that. So onto our oil and energy. Again, they're expecting because oil boosts inflation when the price is up. So the August CPI headline inflation, they're expecting it to be high because of the oil surge. And then the collaborative story is that oil prices spike on tight supplies. This is again because of Russia and Saudi maintaining their restriction on the oil that they're going to be releasing. So that in turn is also inflationary. So banks and inflation, the ECB, European Central Bank, suspense intensifies with their official split over their rate decision. Really, I believe they are just waiting for the US to see if they will hike or pause because they have to stay in lockstep because otherwise they will destroy their currency. Their economy is more fragile than ours. And so it's kind of on that teetering point. They really have to wait to see what we do. Under retail and our jobs, we've got a couple of stories here. So Albertsons and Kroger's, they're both markets, food markets, and they're taking on a major, basically, merger and acquisition. And so they're closing multiple locations. So this has implications on a few fronts. The first is they are food supply stores. So that's going to hit inflation with the food supply, commercial real estate, since they're cutting back. So it's going to hit there. And then also as far as the trade for coming into this. So we've got a few stories going on in here that this actually affects. We also had this story, saw JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon himself saying, and he's admitting they've been spending like drunken sailors and says that's a big risk to the economy. Well, he hasn't really cared until now, so it's kind of interesting that he issues this warning now. We've kind of known this all along. But thank you, Mr. Diamond. Moving on to our trade stories, we do have the World Trade saying they're in survival mode, pushing back on splintering global trade. Well, that's because there is an awful lot of realignment with new alliances going on. And so the second part of this story is that Made in Mexico is the new Made in China because there is realigning going on. So more trade with the US has been done with Mexico than with China this past year. And so all of these events are starting to kind of have their effect. And we all know what's going on between the BRICS and the G20 summit. And if you're new here and you haven't caught on to this, basically the BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are gaining steam. More countries are joining on that side, kind of, if you will, teaming up regarding their side, the other side being the United States, Western Europe, NATO, G20, which is rapidly diminishing. Okay, along with that event today from Apple, this will be the first time that they sell made in India iPhones. So this is important because in order to truly pull out of our recession in the United States, in my opinion, we need to pull back some of the production, produce and actually export from this country products, not just inflation and propaganda. So We do need to pull some of this back, but now India is starting, but we are trying to build them as a trade partner and save ourselves in this new alliance. So right at this moment, I would like to ask, if you like anything in this video, please hit that like. If you have any questions or comments, I would appreciate those below. On to the lava updates, which could cause a potential issue here and might have. So I've got a view from the other side of the aisle, if you will. So this story gives a bit of a view from how others see the United States. And this one is saying US hegemony threatens the global security, stability, and development. And this is, they say, a Serbian expert, but he's really one of the heads of the think tanks over there. And basically, they run through how the economy and their trade is working and kind of how the United States does business in these areas. And so basically, the view is they're tired of the United States being as the power that it is, and they're kind of aligning. And if you've been here for any period of time, you know we are in the middle of a global currency war. It's a race to the bottom to inflate, save their own uh, at the expense of their economies, the currencies, and this is going to lead to war, basically. So we've got that going in. And then along with this, I've got this story. So it's regarding the current administration taking steps to advance a deal to free Americans, 5 Americans in Iran that they say were detained. And they don't think that they should have been, but this is actually, they're saying they're trading for 5 others. So basically, they're saying that this is a prisoner swap. However, the real story of this is kind of hidden in plain sight, and I can't believe they actually published this. But they've got $6 billion that they're saying is held in restricted South Korean accounts. Okay, and so with this prisoner swap, swapping 5 people for 5 people. But what this is money laundering, and they're giving very clear instructions of exactly how they're going to do this. So if you read this article, they talk about the $6 billion, and they're insisting that it's not taxpayer funds, saying that the transfer requires the involvement of financial institutions from Germany, Ireland, Qatar, the Republic of Korea, and Switzerland. And then the waiver, which Blinken approved on Friday, will allow those institutions to transfer the money to accounts in Qatar without worrying about invoking US sanctions. So they're clearly money laundering. They're also saying that the prisoner swap component to the deal is that the US has committed to release 5 Iranian nationals currently detained in the United States. And then they're going to release the $6 billion in funds from Iran. We've been taking their oil and doing deals around the public notice for some time now. So I'm a little shocked, not that they're doing this, but that they would put it out so clearly of exactly how they are doing this, laundering another, $6 billion. And it doesn't matter whether it's taxpayer money or not, because they're losing money left and right. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. It's just another corrupt government issue going on. So thank you so much for being here. With that, I wish you all a green trading day, just a wonderful day in general. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.